Ginger, that's what you need. A mouthful of the good stuff and you'll see the back of any seasickness.
Thank you for your support, John. Don't suppose you actually brought any ginger?
No, I don't get seasick.
Terrific.
Don't worry, Sherry. We've almost arrived at Cordona. I can see land through the porthole.
So much for docking by tea time. The captain seemed more interested in his maids than in his maps.
Oh, is Sherlock grumpy? Cheer up. We're back where we grew up. It's exciting. What's changed? What's the same?
Ugh. I'm starting to question whether the weeks-long journey was worth it. Travelling all this way, enduring this indignity simply to visit a grave. Even if it is my mother's.
Ah, that's just Mycroft's nonsense, still rattling around in your head. Try to forget what he said. I have.
I believe it was that this is a performative farce, a feeble excuse to avoid responsibilities, and that there was nothing to be gained from it.
You needed to do this. Enough of the self-pity and doubt. So we're a little late. What of it? We'll retire to the hotel and visit her in the morning. It'll be worth it.
Thank you, John.
And if you want to notify the captain's wife of his indiscretions, I will not stand in your way.
Ah, at last. I'm quite ready to get off this cursed boat.
Come on. We'll go together.
Ah, Mr. Holmes. Yes, we have room 221 prepared for you. I see it was reserved for 2 people. Would you like a second key?
Oh, no, I think we'll stick together.
Very good. Rooms are upstairs, sir. Welcome to Cordona.
Excuse me, sir, but I believe Mr. Galich is conducting a séance at the moment. Perhaps you'd care to have your portrait drawn while you wait?
Why?
Pardon me?
Why should I sit for a portrait?
Sir, it's art. It doesn't need a why. It is its own justification.
All things require justification, be they objects, systems, or beliefs.
How about art as the lens through which we see the truth of the world?
That's backward. Truth is not subjective and not complicated. It's just the truth. It either is or it isn't. You do not need a lens to see it, just an open mind.
Ha! That seems rather close-minded. Truth, like beauty, is in the eye of the beholder. So tell me, what do you see?
Mediocrity. Cordona's even quieter than I remembered. It's going to be a long evening.
Ah, come now, Sherry. What say we amuse ourselves with a little game?
What were you thinking? Oh, promise me it isn't nonsense. After being cooped up on that boat, I am itching for activity.
No. As you can see, someone left a cane on our table. I simply thought you could identify its owner.
Ah, so it is nonsense. It'll take me a minute, John, at most.
Well then, you can deliver it to him as well.
Deliver it to him? Then what are the staff here for? Aesthetics?
Stubborn, Sherry, too stubborn. You wanted something to do.
Slapping oneself in the face is also something to do. That doesn't make it worthwhile. But all right, let me take a look.
This hotel, this island, it's full of thieves. First my cane, now the diamond. Take your hands off me! Do you even know who I am? Hey, boy! That's my cane!
I get that a lot. It's a very common design.
What? No, that's a custom-made...
A joke. A joke. It was left at my table in the restaurant. I thought it deserved to be returned.
Well, I'll be... It is rare to encounter a straight-fingered true penny these days. What a gentleman. But I must ask, how did you know I was the rightful owner?
Simple deduction. Your cane told me everything. I was after a British noble who takes boxing lessons but suffers from some liver issues. And if one were to go further, one may even be able to extrapolate your name from your heraldic symbol, Lord Craven.
Well, you're half correct. I am indeed Lord Andrew Craven. Your other guesses were wrong. But you still have the edge over that blasted medium. Well, you found my cane. Perhaps you can locate my diamond, too. Yes, you should do it. It will be child's play for you, Mr.
Holmes. And if a child can do it, then I'm sure the local police can suffice.
The police? Why bother? I know this harlequin stole it. The only question is, where is it hidden? Fine. Give me my stick and I'll resolve the matter myself. This thief almost confessed after a single punch.
I suspect a beating may result in answers of questionable veracity. Fine. I shall spare you and he the trouble if you first answer me this. How does a priceless diamond become the subject of a séance? It is an unusual accoutrement.
Emma wished to speak with its former owners. My grandfather told us it belonged to a Rajah, an Indian king.
So you were summoning long-dead Indian royalty and, pray tell, you were expecting him to converse in English?
To be frank, Mr. Holmes, I don't believe in ghosts. But Emma was fascinated by the idea of meeting a real king, even a dead one.
Well, a crown is a crown. Can you describe the stone itself?
A yellow diamond, not less than 100 carats, and perfectly egg-shaped. There is not another like it.
You insist the medium robbed you during the séance. But what occurred exactly?
It was a dirty trick. We were sitting here in the dark, chanting and holding hands, as expected. Then something began to appear from the medium, like a cloud or a bubble. The swindler called it ectoplasm.
Ah, yes. Common in the spiritualist trade, and quite the spectacle.
Indeed, perhaps too much. My beloved Emma screamed in horror, and I stood to defend her, attacking that cursed ghost.
How brave.
But my hand hit nothing. The medium jumped away from me, and Emma fainted. I lit the candle, and the diamond was gone.
Stay here, and don't touch anything. I'm going to investigate further.
Don't fret, I'll be keeping a close eye on this thief.
What happened here?
I don't know. The ghost. I summoned it as usual, but then it all went wrong. The lady screamed and pointed at Lord Craven. And there was a shadow. Such a mystical force. It terrified the lady. And it must have taken the diamond. Who else could have?
Do you feel the presence of any supernatural entities at the moment?
Are you joking, sir? My nose is broken, this maniac wants to kill me, and you're asking about the spirits?
I suppose this can wait. I will investigate, and the culprit will be identified.
But the stubborn brute Lord Craven blames me right now. As if I could do something like that. Perhaps you can reason with him? Please?
Finally, there you are. One would think a maid would be easy to find in this place.
I'm sorry, sir. Do you need more towels?
No. You are the maid who saw the ghost in the séance room, yes?
How did you know?
Simple. You changed shoes after breaking a heel while fleeing the scene.
I'm sorry, sir, but if I may ask, who are you?
A precious diamond was stolen during the séance. Lord Craven entrusted me with its recovery.
I'm sorry, sir, but we are forbidden to discuss the private matters of our guests.
Are you also forbidden from peeking into private rooms, Miss?
Saletta. Lucia Saletta, sir.
Tell me, Miss Saletta, what would your manager say if he knew you were spying on guests?
Oh, please, sir, don't tell him. I have a family. I need this work.
I won't, but only if you answer my questions truthfully. And don't play coy. I can tell. Describe what happened during the séance.
A lady and two gentlemen were sitting at a table, touching their hands to something. The medium started to whisper and chant, and a ghost appeared.
A ghost? You're confident?
It was unearthly, sir. It grew from the medium's chest. A glowing cloud or a bubble. I pressed closer against the window to see better.
And the lady saw you?
How did you... Yes! She screamed and pointed, so I hurried to escape, and I broke my heel. But I did see the ghost. A sickly, evil thing.
And that's all you can tell me? Did you see any of what happened next?
The medium, Mr. Galici, he was doing something with the ghost. He grabbed at it like he was trying to catch it. And then I ran.
I suppose I should be grateful you endured these horrors for such a long time. All right, I have your account memorized. Good day. It all began when the lady screamed and pointed at the window. Lord Craven jumped up, ready to face anything, ghost or human. The medium shrank back in dismay. He was not expecting such a reaction and had to quickly hide the ghost. The lady was the only one left touching the diamond, at least until she fainted.
You're here, at last. I didn't do that. I swear, I found her this way.
Well, I did have some questions for her, but it seems I've arrived too late. Now it's a matter for the police.
Mr. Holmes, you said it yourself. They're children. They'll only make things worse. You promised me you would investigate.
Investigate a theft, not a murder. Fear not. I will tell them all I've uncovered.
Please, help me. The police will surely accuse me of Emma's death. You are the only one who can find the truth.
Fine, but only because it's slightly more interesting than the walls of my room. Tell me what happened.
Look, after you left, I waited in the séance room until the servants locked up Mr. Galici, the medium.
And was your mistress there too?
Oh, so you know? I suppose I shouldn't be surprised. Regardless, the staff took Emma to her room. She was still feeling dizzy.
So you didn't follow her. Interesting. Is Mr. Galici still being held? And where did the servants secure him?
He's in room 225. But that pigeon-livered man at the reception desk refused to give me the key.
Well, I will have to visit reception myself then. Perhaps he will listen to reason. Where did you go instead?
To the bar. It had been almost an hour.
I see. And how long did you stay?
I partook of a well-earned whiskey or two before retiring upstairs. Ask anyone there.
Now we arrive at the tragedy at hand. So what transpired after your detour to the bar?
I headed up to my room to find Emma on the bed. I didn't pay her much attention at first. I was still preoccupied with that damned medium. But when I realized she was silent, I drew closer and discovered she was dead. What's more, the diamond lay right there beside her.
Oh, well, that is splendid news.
Splendid? The return of the diamond will be cold comfort if I live out my days in a jail cell. You must help me.
Let me see what I can find.
I doubt I can help with this.
I found these jewels secreted away. Are you familiar with them?
Ah, it cannot be so. That deceptive wagtail. How could she do this?
That sounds like a yes.
These items were supposedly stolen from us during our trip. I must have spent hours reporting it all to the police. And it turns out she had them all along. The trollop. I'd kill her myself were she not dead already.
Do you recognize this ring?
Should I? That's a third-rate piece if ever I've seen one. I'd never buy something like this.
Did you ever see Miss Emma wearing it?
No. And why should she? I gave her enough jewelry that she could wear a superior ring every day of the week.
I'm afraid I can wait no longer to hear your account of the séance, Mr. Galici. So please, tell me what you saw.
Lady Craven wanted to meet the spirit of the Raja. My conjuration was successful. Perhaps even too successful. I am sure the spirit was the only one who could have taken the diamond. Lord Craven needs to leave me alone.
Do you think the police will believe you?
Of course. I didn't take anything, and spiritual phenomena are beyond their control. Or should I summon the ghost again so they may attempt to handcuff it?
I think I would prefer to begin my investigation in the physical realm. I have shocking news that changes your situation entirely. Oh, no, wait. What am I thinking? The spirits will have told you this already.
I'm not in the necessary state for summoning. The spirits preferred clarity of mind and soul. Please, tell me.
Lady Craven died in the very next room while you were in here. Did you not hear anything?
What? How? In fact, I did hear noises. That Craven is a very loud man. But I never thought he would do that to his wife.
Well, you claim to be a medium. Perhaps you could ask her spirit why.
What? No, it's too dangerous.
Oh well, at least I can make the dead talk. Those scratches on your hands look rather painful. What happened to you?
It was those savage servants. They were so rough bringing me here as if I was trying to escape. When I'm free, I'll demand compensation. Beyond my expertise.
That's a remarkable pin of yours, Mr. Galici. Does it have any meaning?
The butterfly? It's a reminder of a time in which I was truly happy.
What a coincidence. Lady Craven had a ring with the same design.
A coincidence indeed. I suspect it is a common theme in jewelry.
Do you realize just how dangerous it is to hold phosphorus in the mouth?
I beg your pardon?
I'll bet it makes your rubber balloons glow impressively in the dark, but you'll regret it when the hypertension and vomiting sets in.
You mock my talents, sir. You shouldn't be so flippant about things beyond your earthly understanding. How ignorant one must be to compare a spirit's ectoplasm with balloons.
It was merely a word of caution. We both know how match factory workers look after several years on the job. Luca Galici, I know you murdered Lady Craven, and I can prove it.
That would be a grand story for the newspapers. But where's your proof? I was locked in here and could not hurt a fly.
Yes, the locked room. Good of you to mention it. I inspected the door between the rooms, and the lock on it is piteous. You could open it with a penknife.
So I am now a burglar, as well as a thief and a murderer?
Your wrists are bloodied, and there's no way a servant's manhandling could cause such an injury. It was Lady Craven as you strangled her.
You are fantasizing, Mr. Holmes.
As for the motive, it's obvious that you deduced that Lady Craven was the real thief. Of course, it helped that this was not your first encounter with Miss Emma.
I don't know what you're talking about. How on earth can you believe this?
I think the police will easily find the proof when they browse their archives. It is done, Luca. You will be arrested. Your best strategy now is to confess and hope your reasons were justified.
I don't know how you figured it out. But yes, I killed her. I had to. This woman could not get away with ruining my life twice.
Twice?
I knew Emma before she was a lady. I mean, she pretended to be noble back then too. But only so our gang, the Moths, could steal from those snobs. She betrayed us, stole all our money and disappeared, leaving us to rot in jail. I was young. I spent 3 years in that hell.
And tonight, she tried to set you up again. Did she recognize you?
She didn't. I came to her afterwards, pleading that she drop this farce, but she laughed in my face. I just remembered my time in the clink, all I suffered while she indulged. And I grabbed her throat.
You already suffered at Miss Emma's hands once. I'm not convinced you deserve to suffer again. I can't help but notice the window latch seems faulty. Perhaps I should leave you here alone and fetch someone. I'm afraid it may take me some time.
Oh. Thank you. Thank you.
The police won't notice your disappearance immediately. Run, leave Cordona, and try to lead a decent life.
I won't forget your kindness. I owe you everything, Mr. Holmes.
Stop wasting time. Run.
Open the door, Mr. Galici. Don't make it worse. We know you're in there.
Imbeciles, why are you dawdling? Step aside.
That was too much fun, Sherry. I'm buzzing. Buzzing. Wasn't it fun?
A woman died, John. I was too slow to the truth, too hesitant to intervene. How can you...
Oh, lighten up. Those people made their choices. If you swan about with a diamond in your pocket, that's what happens. Wealth is a weakness.
So we must blame those who covet it.
With enough money on the line, Sherlock, a man will do just about anything. Even murder. And then we get to solve it.
I suspect you perhaps cannot grasp the true horrors of mortality, John.
Oi, I am aware of my perilous existence, thank you very much.
I must admit, even if the outcome of the adventure was imperfect, there was some pleasure to be had in the puzzle.
Well, Cordona seems more depraved and decadent than we thought. I bet you'll get another chance.
A bet, you say?
Ah, figure of speech. Just a figure of speech.
Damn. Well, take one last look at the view, then we must be off. It's time to do what we came here for.
Is everything all right? If you don't feel up to it, I won't tell anyone.
It's just a goodbye, John. It won't be difficult. I've already come to terms with my mother's passing.
So you really don't remember?
To what do you refer?
The funeral. Sherlock, you were distraught. At first, I thought this visit would dredge up those feelings, but you've been remarkably level.
John, I think I was too young to understand. I couldn't fathom why she would leave me.
Perhaps that pain is best left forgotten.
On the contrary, it's why I'm visiting her grave. To remember her. A pocket watch? It seems familiar, John. Why is it here?
Mr. Holmes, did you come for another portrait? No, I jest. You gave quite the performance last night. The hotel was abuzz with your name. I must say I was rather absorbed in it all. The fallibility of men. Such scandal.
It was a welcome distraction.
Oh, my manners. I am Werner Vogel, art enthusiast and gallery proprietor.
Mr. Vogel, I was perhaps too curt when last we spoke.
Speak no more of it. Travel takes it out of any man, never mind when this is your destination. Once I learned who you were, the pieces fell into place. Your mother was well liked on Cordona in her time here. I was sorry to hear of her passing.
Does your gallery feature more than just portraiture?
Oh, of course. We display landscapes, sculpture, modern pieces too. I am sure we have something that will move you. You must stop by.
Only music moves me, I'm afraid.
Then you have simply not found your artist yet. Someone whose work hits you in your core. You're still young. I am sure we'll find them.
How did you come to possess my mother's pocket watch?
Oh my! It is quite something to witness those powers of deduction firsthand. Yes, I left you her timepiece. After her death, there was an estate sale. All of Cordona's elite picking of her remains. I couldn't let such a lovely thing go to those vultures. When I learned your name, I could no longer keep the watch in good conscience. It is yours by right, and I knew you'd find it here.
Thank you. I'd forgotten all about it, but the moment I saw it, I knew it was hers. Amazing what the young mind forgets and the older can recall. Rather odd, loitering in a cemetery.
I suspect you'll win, but I'm here for my art. There's beauty everywhere if you look, even in decay. A little darkness brings out the light. Now, a diligent observer might note that you too are loitering in a cemetery. What brings you here? Closure answers penance?
Closure, I suppose.
And what is closure? Mere proximity?
Understanding. Acceptance.
You didn't understand from afar. You had to come here to accept the truth of her death?
Of course I understand. She died of consumption, drowning in her own blood.
Your mother?
Yes, my mother.
I must have been misinformed. I'd heard otherwise.
Otherwise than consumption?
No, you'd know better than I. I'd heard talk of a police investigation, but Cordona is a notorious gossip. And what does it matter? She's passed on either way.
She has.
Well, I shall intrude no longer. I'll leave you to your closure. Do stop by the gallery if your travels permit. Farewell.
Stark do this, Stark do that. I'm not a clerk, damn it. How am I supposed to get those records now? Yes? What is it? Would you like to report a crime?
No, I wouldn't. My name is Sherlock Holmes. I want to use the police archives.
Wouldn't we all?
I'm serious.
So am I. Officer Logan locked himself inside and he's not letting anyone in.
What happened exactly?
A tailoress from Scaladio's been robbed. Logan spent 2 whole days at the shop sketching the thief, and she still insists that it's all wrong. That shrew drove him up the wall, she did.
But why the archives? Won't that stall everyone's work?
You bet it will. He's looking up all the thieves in Cordona over the past decade. Say one thing for Logan. He's persistent.
Would you mind if I talk to this tailoress? I could get you the sketch in no time.
Get off your high horse, mister. You think you're better than our sketch artist?
Actually, I'm quite certain I am. Let me prove it.
Well, I see no harm in it, as long as it gets Logan out of there. In fact, I need to look up some records too. Here's the address. Good luck.
I'm pleased to meet you, Ma'am. My name is Sherlock Holmes. I'm here to sketch the thief for the police investigation.
Oh, another one. I hope you'll be more patient than the previous sketches, Signore.
Can you describe the thief for me?
He was all ugly and beat-up looking. An utter rascal if ever I'd seen one. He gave me a nasty look from behind his glasses and then made himself scarce.
And that's it? Could you be more specific?
He was a total villain, I told you. How much more specific do you want me to be?
All right, never mind. I suggest we do it differently. You have a great many clothes here, haven't you?
Why, of course, but they're not for sale. I only do tailoring and mending.
No matter. I'll attempt to disguise myself as the thief, and you'll tell me if I get it right.
As you wish, Senor Holmes.
Where can I find the clothes?
They're in my workshop at the back. Be careful, won't you? Oh, no. He's all wrong. You look nothing like him.
What is wrong, exactly?
Why, everything. He had glasses and bruises and... Were you listening to me at all? Ah, it's you. I mean, it's him. It's him.
Excellent. Now I can make a sketch and take it to the police.
Yes, please do. That rascal is still on the loose. I hope they are better at catching than sketching.
Before I go, Ma'am, are you quite certain that you don't have any clothes to sell?
Well, I suppose you can take the police uniform. An officer forgot it here years ago, and I don't have any use for it. If you want to buy clothes, visit the outfitters. You can find them all over Cordona. I hear they even do free rentals now. Let me show you where the nearest one is.
Thank you very much. Hello again, officer. I've spoken to the tailoress and made a sketch of the thief. It was child's play.
No, really? And she didn't give you any trouble?
No trouble at all. She was quite tolerable.
Huh. Who would have thought? Hey, Logan, we've got the sketch. Come on out.
Can I use the archives now?
Well, they're generally not accessible to the public. But you really helped us out, so I'll just turn a blind eye.
I appreciate it, officer.
What did you say your name was? Holmes? Come and see me after you're done. I may have a proposition for you, Mr. Holmes.
the ash all over the door? I don't recall hearing of a fire.
We don't have to stay here. You can afford another night or two at the hotel.
It's stuck.
Oh well, let's just head back. They probably haven't even stripped our room yet.
Come on. Must be locked.
Move aside. Let me have a go. Seems fine to me, Sherry. This barrier, perhaps it's mental, not physical.
Or perhaps the rest of us are simply constrained by reality, John. I wonder if there's a key secreted somewhere in the garden.
Try to recall that memory about the policeman, Sherry. Concentrate.
The policeman brought us both home, John. That's why he was here.
I'm pretty sure he brought something else with him too. Do you remember what it was? I bet it was our reward.
No, we were not so lucky. It was a set of lockpicks that we had used to sneak into someone's house. That's why we were arrested.
Did someone come out to investigate all the commotion?
It was Mycroft. He smoothed things over and convinced the policeman not to press charges. The officer left and never returned. But we had to endure a serious talking to from my brother. Mycroft wasn't happy about the fact that we were arrested. It felt like he lectured us for hours.
Did we give him something afterwards, Sherry?
Oh, yes. Yes, now I remember. It was a letter. That's why we snuck into the house. Mycroft asked us to. He wasn't angry we stole, but that we got caught.
Ah, that's right. It must have been only a couple of months after we moved to Cordona. Ugh, the good old days. Whoa.
How very odd. It appears that memory stood between me and the manor. It's as if my mind palace had seeped into the real world. This deserves further investigation. Perhaps there's more to discover inside.
As long as there is a comfortable place to put my feet up, I'll be happy. Maybe a chaise longue.
Aha! In we go.
Your neighbors will be told that Mrs. Holmes is suffering from tuberculosis. It is common to move closer to the sea in such cases.
Thank you, Dr. Richter. No, Sherlock, step away from her. Upstairs. Go to your room.
Lean on me, Mother. Take your time.
Actually, I never heard her coughing. I remember now.
Oh, I feel dizzy. It's stuffy in here, isn't it?
John, are you all right?
I'll be okay in a minute. How about we find our room in the meantime?
In a fit of rage, the elephant broke the chain and threw its victim on the ground with a fierce power. Escaping the scene, it pulled the body with it, but dropped it at the gate. At least some of this was witnessed by a third party who was hurled against the shed.
You? Who are you?
My name is Sherlock Holmes. Theodore Gilden was...
Did you kill him? Did you kill the elephant?
It's not in the yard anymore. It escaped into the forest.
You can't let it go. What if it returns?
I highly doubt that, Miss...
Imogen Gilden. Please, I beg of you, find that dreadful beast that killed my father.
I suppose we do need to learn what happened. Can you tell me what happened? From the very start.
I was here, so I didn't see how it began. My father visits the enclosure every morning to wake up Goliath. Today, I heard the elephant scream. I've never heard such a horrifying sound. My heart stopped. I knew something was wrong. I looked through my window and saw how it lifted my father up by his neck. I rushed downstairs. I saw it dragging my father as if he were a doll. I threw stones at it. It dropped my father's body and charged outside, screaming. Its roar was almost human. I was frightened, so I ran inside and hid here.
That is a terrifying experience, Miss Gilden. I'm sorry you had to go through it.
Thank you. Goliath must be caught, Mr. Holmes.
Well, thank you for the information, Miss Gilden. I did have some questions for your father. Perhaps you might help me with them?
I wasn't privy to much of my father's life, and it's very hard to think of anything at all with Goliath still loose. Please, Mr. Holmes.
Very well. Do you mind if I ask you more questions if I find anything that might help?
Anything to catch that monster.
Miss Gilden, I was on this island 10 years ago, and your father knew my mother. I believe I even had the opportunity to ride that balloon outside, but I do not recall seeing you.
I lived at my late mother's in Sheffield at the time. I'm in no spirit to reminisce right now. The elephant is out there.
You've never heard the name Violet Holmes before? Perhaps your father...
Please, Mr. Holmes. With that beast roaming free, I can't think of anything.
Very well.
I've nothing to say about this. I've nothing to say about this.
Had Goliath been aggressive before?
It's dangerous, but it was never aggressive near my father. My father would do anything for Goliath. All the elephant had to do was clap its ears.
You envied him, the elephant, I mean?
Our house is called the House of Ivory. I've heard some people refer to me as the Ivory Girl. And my room stinks of the animal, as if it's me who lives in a pen and not Goliath. It's not envy, Mr. Holmes. It's just incredibly difficult to live like this.
Did you observe anyone else in the yard? Any of your servants, perhaps?
Servants? Do you imagine that we would have any with Goliath? No one wishes to work in this house, even for double pay. I didn't see anyone else. Only my father and that diabolical beast. Been useful.
A. Swift, is this name familiar to you? Your father had it removed from this plan.
Oh, that's Arthur Swift. I've seen him a couple of times here. He works with my father in the old city, digging up something ancient.
He is an archaeologist?
That's the word, yes. But to be truthful, I really don't think Mr. Swift is fit to be one. I've just learnt a lot about archaeology from my favourite book series. Oh, they are page-turners.
Inspirational, I'm sure, but would you happen to know where this Mr. Swift might be found?
I don't, but perhaps you can find out somewhere. My father's work with him is all official. Lots of boring legal papers with signatures and stuff.
And, which part of the elephant is in here? It's quite pungent.
Oh, that. It's elephant sweat. Father believed that it might replace traditional ambergris.
Well, that's true entrepreneur spirit. How can you read something like this? It's hard to swallow, and that's not due to the hard cover.
You're hardly serious. Any library without Nabe and Laura is incomplete. If you can read, then these books are an absolute must. Love and adventure. They're about life.
Oh, I wasn't aware that exploding pyramids were a part of daily life on Cordona.
You haven't seen life, so you might try reading about it at least. I'm afraid I can't add anything useful.
I found this. Who's this young lad next to you, your faithful knight?
Paul. He's my pirate. He's not really a pirate. I just call him that. It probably sounds very silly.
Your secret is safe in my hands. Does Paul work somewhere? What is his surname?
His name is Paul Perks. He and his yacht Whirlpool are the champions of the Salacia Yacht Club. He sails there. I'll show you where it is on the map if you need to meet him.
A yachting champion? Well, that will be a first. I prefer dry land. And so does my suit.
I've nothing to say about this.
These bags of yours, it looks as if you've packed your entire room. Were you planning on going somewhere?
My partner and I, we wanted a change, a fresh start abroad. But now I have to stay here. Here, an orphan.
Oi! Hands off my possessions before you lose your fingers. Are you illiterate? The rules are written everywhere.
Ah, Mr. Perks, the cabin boy himself.
Champion, you mean? I was right. You are illiterate. I think a couple of shiners might teach you. One last chance. Who are you?
I am a friend of Theodore Gilden. My name is Sherlock Holmes. I need a few words from you about...
Get out of here. I'm not joking. Leave this place before you have cause to regret it. I will use force.
Do the police still throw people in prison for smuggling? Oh yes, with you helpless and handcuffed, I'd learn a few more secrets. We don't need to compete with our egos now, surely.
Oh no. I'd rather you tell me something more, so that I might have more reasons to punch you out.
So, a woman wishes to become a real criminal, and smuggling is a stepping stone towards that? Is there not enough prestige in yachting? Or is it easier to compete with other fools like yourself? Everyone has a starting pistol, just shoot and run.
Don't say a word. I don't know where you're getting half of this nonsense, but you're on some thin ice here that I'm willing to crack.
Damn you, Paul. I'm sick of... Who's this peacock? Does he know who I am?
I definitely know who you are not. You're not a dictionary reader, at least. I wanted to see how you... pals interact with each other in your natural habitat. But I'm afraid I have to interfere. Your fellow mariners have a strange way of showing hospitality.
They were not my friends.
Are you sure? I would rather risk my neck for someone who's at least honest and thankful.
Perhaps then don't enter someone's life and be so judgmental, pretending you're better than they are.
Then give me your perspective and allow me to see through your eyes. I tried to tell you before, but your partners interrupted. Have you heard the news? Theodore Gilden is dead. Do you have anything to say?
Well, what a shock. To me, he was an angry old ogre. Good riddance. Was it Goliath that killed him? Did it crush him? Break his bones? Come on, tell me. I want all the details.
You have an unusual way of showing grief. Imogen wouldn't appreciate that. But yes, the animal could have been involved.
It's poetic in a way, isn't it? It takes a beast to kill a monster. I wish I could have been that elephant.
What were you doing this morning, Miss Perks?
Don't call me that. I'm a champion. I was sailing.
The other club members told me that you missed the race this morning. Do champions not need to practice?
Ugh, you've talked with them already. No, I wasn't racing. I visited the doctor after that attack on me. And then I had to honor the deal with the bandits you just took care of.
This business of yours, you should be more careful. Ruining your life at such a young age is ridiculous.
I am careful. Except for you, no one has noticed where I store the smuggled goods. If the police arrive, there's no link to me. It's common storage, not exclusively mine. I don't know what you're suggesting. I don't know what this means. I don't know what you're suggesting.
What can you tell me about the elephant?
He's smarter than some people here, including his owner. Although I feel he could be dangerous, no matter how much he's fed.
Why is that? Have you ever seen Goliath attack anyone?
Well, not exactly. But I saw it, abusing some poor tree during one of its walks with Theodore. The expression on that old ninny's face was priceless. But it wasn't funny to look at. Believe me, it was frightening.
Does this knife seem familiar? I didn't find it in your competitor's back, to be clear.
This knife is as blunt as your humor. It's a bosun's knife, but it's not mine. I wouldn't be so careless as to mislay my tools.
A. Swift. Are you familiar with this name? The gentleman had business with Mr. Gilden.
Likely just another strange and wrinkled fellow like old Gilden was. Perhaps this Swift person has a rhino, and they wanted to see which pet was stronger. In other words, I don't know who he is, but I bet he's crazy like Theodore.
I doubt that Cordona has ever boasted a battle arena for that size of mammal. You have an interesting imagination. Imogen doesn't strike me as an industrious young lady, so I find it strange that she was busy packing up all her belongings when Mr. Gilden died. That's some favorable wind in your sails, isn't it?
Is it so suspicious that a couple might embark on a trip? I wanted to thank her, so we planned to go traveling. A Theodore-free place, without elephants.
The timing of it is suspicious, however. Your lady friend becomes an orphan and heir, and there's a planned trip directly afterwards.
An improvised romantic dinner will never please a spoilt girl. A planned voyage might. It's not spur of the moment.
A charming picture. I've heard that champions do often pose with their trophies.
Cheeky. It is a lovely trophy, though. I'm sure you will agree.
What is it that you like most about her? Her naivety? Her father's money?
A somewhat difficult choice. Especially now that her father is out of the equation.
Between yachts, darts, and notes from bandits, I've discovered many fascinating facts about you. But this, an installment of Nabe and Laura's adventures. Why did you sully your library with this?
It's a gift from Imogen. I didn't buy it. I might have turned a couple of pages, but nothing more. I swear.
I will give you the benefit of the doubt, but your literary taste has put you on my blacklist. Look what I found. A box full of darts.
Hey, that's mine.
I confiscated it. These darts appear to be filled with something. Poison? How powerful is it?
It's strychnine. Enough to instantly kill a small rodent. I haven't tried it on a human. Yet. I hope you know what you're doing.
Could it immobilize a larger animal, say, an elephant?
I've never tried, but I have wondered.
It seems as though Theodore Gilden hung a sword of Damocles over your life and career. Were these only words, or something more serious?
Check my forearm. Pulled muscles and bruises. Small cuts. Nothing that you could call serious.
I doubt that a man in his late 50s could wrestle you.
It wasn't him. He behaved like a rat and hired brutes. His boys tried to lock my hands behind my back, but I was faster and I escaped.
Was he so protective of his daughter, or was it your feminine secret that provoked him?
My guess is that he was protecting his property. As he saw it, he owned Imogen, and he treated her like a piece of furniture. He didn't want his daughter to be loved by anyone. What's more painful is that Theodore didn't allow me to love his daughter. Typical.
I'm not sure that your relationship with Imogen could be described as typical.
Are you afraid of a woman in trousers? Now that's typical of men.
You smuggle illicit psychotropes on your yacht. Not a delivery for the hospital, I'm sure.
Of course not. I've had to cut corners to earn some money. How might a person afford to pay for a yacht in an honest way? I don't know, although I'm smart. The buyers are my customers. Adults who are willing to pay for their pleasure, or weapons for jewels. Whatever they want me to deliver. Nothing criminal.
Well, it's your lucky day. I'm not here because of smuggling. Have you tasted this tea yourself?
I wouldn't have been a champion if I had used it. It's just a side business that keeps my career afloat. It's quite expensive to compete in yachting. Sometimes I cut corners.
Such as fixing Whirlpool yourself?
Exactly. And sometimes I just have to pay. That's how I earn money. I don't sell slaves or take the last mangear from a poor family.
Have you seen what your father sent to Paul?
This is despicable. My father was never a gentleman, but this crosses the line. I knew that father wasn't fond of Paul, but this is just awful. If only he could have seen how good Paulie is to me.
Are you aware that Paul smuggles drugs for a dangerous gang?
Mr. Holmes, I've already told you. I call him a pirate in play. He's not an actual pirate. He's a champion and a brave gentleman, not a thug.
Let us agree to disagree on that. But don't be surprised if one of his clients knocks on your door. Sir, kind sir, might I steal your attention?
I'm not buying.
Ah, that is the thing. You won't waste a single mangear. I am a digger, you see, and I have heard of a dig site so deep it clogs your ears. I want to be there.
Why are you telling me this?
I have heard of a man recruiting for such a dig. A man with a scar, such as the one that you're hiding. And your boots are dirty with the deep clay I am so familiar with. Oh, I hope it wasn't too rude of me to point that out.
You have a good eye. And you just want to dig? Dig deep and that's it? What's the catch? Are you in desperate need of money?
Oh, there is no catch, sir. I won't even ask for advance pay. Just give me a shovel and I'll dig a hole like you've never seen.
Huh. Is that so? Well, I have to ask you an important question first. Would you be fine working for Brits?
I am all for them.
Well, you say that, but can you prove it?
Do you know how I started my day? With a fry-up. Bacon, sausages, eggs, and I could have eaten everything twice over.
You shouldn't eat all that for breakfast. Your stomach won't last. But it does show that you're dedicated.
I can also speak in limericks.
Please don't. You might be a little bit weak in the head, but a natural bone digger with a keen eye is what we need. Take this permission slip and go to this address. The guard will let you in and check with the professor once you're there.
Where's the fire in your eyes? Where's the smile? I am sick and tired of seeing apathy among the new workers.
Sir, believe me, I do have the spark. I want to start work straight away. It's as important to me as it is to you.
Ah, that's the spirit. I'm on the verge of a great discovery.
When was the last time you saw...
Young man, you're disappointing me. I'd like to see a bright career for you as the best digger on the island. Don't ruin it. We'll talk when you find something useful.
How did you meet?
Don't ask questions. You'll have to find the answers yourself. I'm not a nanny. I'm a busy man who is changing the course of history.
I am ready to work.
Splendid. Do you know what I am working on?
The Ivory Baths. Everyone is looking forward to the grand opening.
Who told you this nonsense? Why would you contaminate history with this base desire for leisure? We are looking for Vitus Lemonius's tomb. This is our goal, to find the artifacts of the early Roman Empire. Let's continue. I am Professor Swift. We have 3 rules here. Don't touch anything, always return the tools, and don't distract me unless you find something.
Sounds simple enough. Are you the only one in charge here, Mr. Swift?
Yes, I am the only one, and no one else. You hear anything other than that, it's a lie. People of your kind can have difficulty understanding who's in charge. Take a minute, memorize my face, and then get to work.
Oh, I will definitely take a closer look to memorize my superior. I wish I could be as passionate about something as you are, Mr. Swift. You value knowledge and dedication over everything else.
It's a long road, young man. A sharp eye and attention to detail are the only stepping stones along this path. You have to sacrifice everything you love for the larger prize.
Exactly. So much in life is superficial. I wish more people would understand.
I never heard a truer word, lad. Folk will ignore what truly matters in life, and for what? Convenience.
Bold words indeed. I doubt that many scientists would be willing to support their bragging with fieldwork.
The academic world is full of restrictions. Our honorable professors are too afraid to dirty their hands. God forbid if they have a stain on their shirt. You can follow in my footsteps. You can start learning by returning to work. Show me what you can find.
It seems everything's in place. Now, let's see what this has to tell us. Here is your discovery, Mr. Swift. Hey, look at this.
What have you found? Don't let anyone touch anything there. Eureka! I found you, my friend. Trying to take over my research, are you? I come here to pick up my diary, and I find you snooping around. Explain yourself.
Mr. Swift, if that were true, I would have been on my way to the newspaper. My name is Sherlock Holmes. I didn't have a chance to introduce myself properly.
Outrageous! You deceived me, sir. What is the reason for your being here? Who sent you, Mr. Holmes?
Theodore Gilden's premature death brought me here.
Theodore is dead? How can that be possible?
I'm thinking of all the possibilities, and I'm not crossing out anyone who might have been involved. Even his elephant. The land you're excavating belongs to Mr. Gilden, does it not?
Did I hear an accusation? I have nothing to hide. You can ask me whatever nonsense you've prepared as a token of my diminishing respect towards you.
Very well, Mr. Swift. I appreciate your cooperation. When was the last time you saw Mr. Gilden?
A couple of days ago. We discussed the site. I believe in the tomb and its secrets. Theodore's patience was stretched, however. He was already inventing new projects. It wasn't a long conversation. I suppose that his daughter will inherit everything now, along with all of the eccentricities and problems.
And not forgetting Goliath.
Eccentricities and problems, Mr. Holmes. One of many.
Were you at the site this morning?
Affirmative. This project is taking a lot of my time, as you see. I spend more time underground than on the surface.
When did you learn about Theodore's death?
Just now. You just told me.
And you aren't surprised, shocked? I won't tell anyone if you shed a tear or two. Weren't you partners, after all?
We were. And it is a real shame. But I've seen too many deaths in my life, Mr. Holmes, for the news to truly shake me. Will you allow me to return to my research? Or are you insisting on remaining an obstacle?
Oh, I haven't even started yet.
Moving on. Moving on. I've nothing to add.
Did this plan cause a rift in your business relationship with Theodore Gilden?
Nothing like that. Admittedly, we didn't share a common vision of what is more important, the past or the future. In my opinion, we can't build a future without knowing the past.
So you wanted to save the tomb of Vitus here, or perhaps your control over the research?
Only the knowledge that rightly belongs to humankind, nothing less and nothing more. I've nothing to add. I've nothing to add.
Have you seen this person before? The one beside Imogen Gilden?
No, but he's with Imogen, so I suppose that he's a friend of hers. That girl always has her head in the clouds. I could have said Theodore was different, but that wouldn't have been entirely true.
Away with the fairies, was he?
That's one way of putting it. Either way, I don't know much about Imogen's life or her friends. The type of elite that pretends to be educated.
Gilden's elephant is quite an unusual addition to Cordona's fauna. What is your scientific opinion on that?
No matter how much Theodore loved it, it still remained a wild animal trapped inside a stone pen. Goliath needs savannas, fields, lakes.
I'm sure that Goliath did not have a plan to kill his owner to head to the savannas. What do you think?
No, animals don't kill in a typical sense. I can only presume that it tried to protect itself from captivity, from Theodore. It was a gilded cage that was predestined to break.
Remember one of the rules? It seems that you didn't return a tool. Is this knife yours?
Do I look like a fellow who carries a knife? I don't need it.
There are plenty of uses for it on the site, and outside of it.
I have other people to cut ropes for me, Mr. Holmes. I've nothing to add. I'm a busy man. Moving on.
Your partner had a very specific attitude towards the things he treasured. Was this habitual for him?
That would have been too much even for him. Don't get me wrong, he had a harsh temper. Like a true businessman, he was ready to burn his competitors to the ground.
But threatening someone physically would have been something new even for him, am I correct?
Absolutely. Besides, I had never seen him this angry. The fellow who received the letter must have been extremely alarmed. I've nothing to add.
What's with this intricate recruitment process? Pro-British workers charge less?
As a head of this organization, I need to secure a productive environment. It's impossible to do so if there are political differences, especially here, where the native population doesn't support our efforts to find the ancient artifacts.
Decent pay can also stimulate productivity and shut down any political discord. Hadn't you thought of that?
You're young. You have time to fritter and fight with everyone you meet. I don't have such a luxury. Our workers receive enough pay for what they do. So don't start a discussion you know nothing about. I've nothing to add.
As far as I can tell, you're a man of the academic world, so this book about Nabe and Laura is just an empirical study?
What? That nonsense? I'd prefer to lose my eyesight than read such trash.
So, you know nothing about it?
I know nothing. I wish I'd never heard of it in the first place. This caricature of science.
Do I hear traces of envy? You're still relatively young, but you might find your own Laura.
Perhaps I envy Nabe, for I cannot simply blow people up for distracting me. That's all. You happy now? Wonderful. Moving on. I'm a busy man.
What's with this box of darts? Is it for a scientific argument?
A little darker than that. Rather for killing the kind of rodents that might nibble a nose or a toe in your sleep.
Let's just say I have to protect myself against a larger animal, such as an elephant. Might it be enough to stop it, make it faint?
If I were you, I wouldn't bank on it.
You have a weakness for nostalgia? Or, rather, do you use it to record a list of enemies?
Young man, you need to check your moral compass. Reading another person's diary is a sin in every culture that I can think of.
But you aren't answering the question.
You've already read it. Why bother? I simply record my life to keep my memory clean from misinterpretation. Letters and pages don't lie.
But the writer of the text can. With this book, you attempted to plan an attack on the elephant?
Your insinuations are out of place. Goliath is a frightening animal. All I wished to do was to understand the creature. As any scientist would do, I researched, analyzed, and drew conclusions.
And what conclusion did you draw?
That Theodore Gilden made the animal miserable. He couldn't provide the proper environment for the beast. My interest in the subject ended there.
Good day, madam. I've come to you with a special requirement. The tailors on the street can't help me, I'm afraid. Could you make a doll for me?
Oh, Senor Holmes. You taught the police how to do their job, and they found the thief. Of course I will help you. But what sort of doll? A child's doll, such as my great-niece might play with?
A little larger than your typical doll.
Signore, I don't understand. Boy, girl, animal, and what color?
Animal, a passionate, perhaps amorous animal.
Ah, Signore, you talk in riddles. I am an old lady who's seen it all. Tell me what you need.
I need a life-size elephant.
I think Mrs. Nini outdid herself with this one. Is that a tail?
That's a trunk, John, but I must agree with you that it's her masterpiece.
Well, let's not waste any time. So, what's the plan? I hope it all doesn't go horribly wrong.
We know that the elephant is seeking a female. We can arrange that. A doll with the appropriate scent might do miracles.
So you're a marriage broker? Well, I suppose that makes me a groomsman. Phew, she is a bit breezy, I must say.
Well, Goliath is eager for a single female elephant in his area. It should be just enough for his taste. You'll need to trust me.
Are we ready? I can't stand the tension.
We're ready. Let's call the elephant.
How could anyone resist? I knew a lady once who said just that. Too bad I'm not an elephant. Take your time, Sherry. That deserves a slap. And then a kiss.
And here's our lovesick friend.
What is the meaning of this? Why are you bringing it here? I won't allow you to leave.
I assure you that it is only a temporary measure. It won't be long until the elephant is gone, I promise you. You are guilty, Mr. Swift. Killing Theodore Gilden was a testing challenge. You succeeded.
What makes you think I'm somehow involved in Gilden's death? My partner's death, I might remind you.
You were there when Theodore Gilden died.
Nonsense. I visited him many times, but I wasn't there when the elephant killed him.
Then I must have made a mistake, because the murderer met Goliath's rage personally. The perpetrator was hit by the gate and thrown into the shed. Your bruise matches the contour of the broken hole. One further detail is that the murderer had a bosun's knife, fairly useful in a place where one might cut ropes and fabric, such as, I don't know, the dig site?
That's your interpretation of the facts, Mr. Holmes. You've simply aligned them to suit your hypothesis.
It's not a hypothesis once proven, it's theory, Mr. Swift. Your dart uses strychnine to kill rodents at the site, is that correct?
Well, yes, that is its purpose.
The same dart with strychnine was found on Goliath. The very same substance is a powerful stimulant. It causes convulsions, a flow of energy. You shot Goliath. The elephant became extremely energetic, agitated, and so terrified that it killed its owner. For a man of your age, it was easier to hit a larger grey target than a small man.
You said it yourself. Goliath killed Theodore, and your strychnine speculations are absurd. Only athletes use it as a stimulant, not elephants.
True, but one dart of strychnine would not be enough to kill the elephant, and you knew it. Let me tell you a story. A man spends almost 5 years of his life locating an artifact. He puts every ounce of energy and money into his research. The same man even goes so far as to sign a contract with a ruthless man, a businessman. It was a risk, but the reward would be worth it. Years go by and there's still no result, so the businessman decides to end the man's research. He spits on the research, he promises to bury the site under an eccentric project. All of this is just his whim. Theodore Gilden could do anything he wanted with this place, and you were anxious about the fate of your research. You wished to protect it. You tried to tame Gilden's eccentricity, but you killed him instead.
Theodore wasn't trying to sabotage my career. We had a disagreement, but it wasn't as dire as you describe it. He wasn't a pleasure to talk to, but killing him? Nonsense.
Theodore Gilden was a capricious man, extremely impulsive. But the cold-blooded nature of your plan makes you even more dangerous. You feel nothing. You show no remorse. It was simply a calculated move. And that is why you are under arrest.
Nothing. You have nothing on me.
I think I'll let the police decide if my findings are substantial enough for prosecution.
This is all a dreadful mistake. This can't be happening. The elephant killed Theodore.
Goliath is innocent and he should be free. He is not the real murderer here. That is the apex of your career, Mr. Swift. Farewell.
I told you Mr. Swift was not a real archaeologist. He was a murderer. I knew there was something wrong with him.
Fortunately for us, being a murderer was not his profession. And about the elephant?
While you were busy, I've dealt with it. No thanks to you. I asked you to solve this wretched problem, but you didn't.
I couldn't be in two places at once, Miss Gilden. I was catching your father's murderer. But how have you dealt with it?
A man agreed to take the elephant away. He came to me asking for permission to relocate it to his property, and I accepted.
Well, congratulations, I suppose. That is one less problem.
Actually, two, Mr. Holmes. I found my father's possessions that you can take with you and disappear.
I appreciate it, truly.
Well, someone has to do something. Take everything if you need to, and leave me be.
Take care of yourself, Miss Gilden. had a surprise for my mother. You had a shovel with you, John. I was holding an ancient Greek vase, or rather, quite a big piece of it. I remember now, we dug up the vase from Greek ruins here on Cordona, and were eager to show my mother right away. For some reason, the door was closed. We knocked.
But nobody answered. We thought that she was busy.
So we left the vase and ran downstairs. I decided to gather some archaeological tools in order to take a closer look at the vase.
Then we heard something, didn't we?
Yes. It came from upstairs.
The vase was broken, shards scattered all over the floor. And your mother was standing at the door.
Indeed, John. I doubt it was her. Let me concentrate. Otto Richter was standing there, furious at us. Dr. Richter told us never to disturb my mother when the door is closed. He said she had broken the vase.
But we didn't believe him. I bet he smashed it. Her things are still here.
Presumably Mycroft never felt the need to sort through it all.
Or couldn't bring himself to.
No. He would have put it behind him and moved on. My brother is not one for sentimentality.
I don't believe you! Liars! Get away from me! It's not true! It's not real!
What? Oh.
Everything will be okay, Sherry. I promise.
My mother, she was not just ill, but mad. God have mercy.
I'm sorry. That explains why you locked the memory away.
There must be more, John. That was the morning of her death. I need to know what happened.
Every time you... I just don't... Please, Sherry, leave it be.
Just breathe, John. You know that I cannot leave the last stone unturned. We are so close.
I know. But can we at least leave it for another day?
Well, history tells us these memories are triggered by our investigation of other matters. I suspect it could not be forced even if I so desired.
Thank you. How are you feeling about all this? Tell me, I'm not the only one reeling.
It feels wrong, sad. Like they're the memories of another man. I'm struggling to reconcile my love for my mother with the reality of who she was. And worse, what possessed Mycroft to lie about it? There are precious few pieces of this puzzle remaining, John. Let us dawdle here no longer.
Indeed. Wait, did you hear that?
Yes. Metallic soles. What is this sailor doing here? With whom do I have the pleasure of speaking?
You can call me your new game. The rules are simple. I have something for you, but you alone must work out what that is.
And that something is my prize, I suppose?
You're a fast learner, sir.
I cannot believe that Mr. Vogel has somehow successfully called my attention to his gallery. You're here with an invitation to visit it, obviously.
My word, you are fast, Mr. Holmes. Could you explain how you came to that conclusion?
Of course. Explanations are my favorite part of any conversation. Hands without any sign of regular physical activity, in contradiction to one who would most usually wear such a uniform. The paint in your hair is pink. I don't know of any military service that paints their ships pink, unless they have launched a new fashionable fleet. A sailor with the soul of an artist? I would suggest rather a gallery employee disguised as a sailor to mislead me. How many artists on the island know where I live and of my passion for deduction? Werner Vogel is clearly at the top of the list. And you've been attempting to conceal something square-shaped within your pocket. An invitation, I suppose. An invitation to Mr. Vogel's gallery.
That was remarkable, Mr. Holmes. Mr. Vogel was right about your genius. I think he may have even underestimated you. This is your invitation. Please tell Mr. Vogel that the seed has been planted. He asked me to tell you to do so, if you win this little game. Farewell.
Mr. Holmes, you came. Oh, how kind. Though now, of course, I realize it is because of my game, not the works on display.
It needn't be one or the other. Your man's disguise was easily debunked, Mr. Vogel, but I shall admit that you planted in me the seed of curiosity.
Ah, terrific! I had no doubt you'd put the pieces together. Let us call it an opening gambit before the real game begins.
So, this little game of yours, what's it about?
An enigma to solve. A locked area in the basement with no windows found brutally vandalized. I have no clue how it was possible.
And this locked area downstairs, what exactly was it?
The under gallery. It's always shut, and I'm the only one with the key.
Ah, so this is your private collection, not part of the gallery.
Oh, no. It's an exclusive exhibition of eccentric pieces. Only a select cadre of artists, investors, and collectors are admitted. Not everyone deserves to have their eyes opened.
What about this intrusion? What happened?
Last night, I was about to leave the gallery when I heard a noise downstairs. I went to the basement, but I didn't see anything out of the ordinary. It was admittedly a rudimentary inspection. It is not uncommon to get rats down there, so seeing nothing of note, I left and locked up the building. When I returned this morning, alas, I discovered that part of the exhibition had been torched, and there was no sign of the intruder. The mystery being, of course, that all the doors to the gallery were locked exactly as I left them.
And the door to the basement is the only entrance?
Correct. Tell me you're not intrigued.
Well, this matter is certainly within my wheelhouse.
This intrusion troubles me. Please take a look around if you're willing. The under gallery is through the door at the end.
I will see what I see. The intruder entered the basement through the coal chute. He used a magnet to open the hatch bolt. He accidentally pushed a shovel to the floor. Vogel heard the noise. At the sound of his approaching footsteps, the intruder hid inside the coffin. When Vogel entered the basement, he failed to notice anything strange and left without properly checking. The intruder waited until Vogel had left the caravanserai before burning the paintings in Wilde's room, but the vandalism was a cover for the theft. The pieces are not what I expected.
What do you think my collection is about?
Dozens of priceless works amassed simply for the sake of it and presented without care. It's not about the art, it's about excess, yes?
I don't know.
Well, that's absurd. Of course you know. It's your gallery.
There is no one answer, no singular truth, but many filtered through the subjective mind. That forgetting, embellishing, lying machine. Besides, what's wrong with a lie if it makes life more interesting?
What's wrong with a lie? It corrupts the ability of others to behave freely and rationally.
Men never act freely and rationally anyway. It matters not what is or isn't in the end. The only important thing is how you feel. And I simply want to feel and consume as much as I can. Don't you?
Feelings are simply one's animal ancestry trying to wrest back control of the brain. I try to avoid the distraction.
You try not to feel, even in a place like this? None of it moves you?
To be frank, I struggle to maintain even a whit of interest in art.
But, Mr. Holmes, it is joy incarnate, mankind's greatest achievement.
Mankind's highest achievement above all others is objective and rational thought.
I see then why you dislike art, for it means whatever you want it to.
Or, perhaps, Mr. Vogel, I was lying.
Aha.
Mr. Vogel, my investigation has revealed that the intrusion was not merely vandalism, but theft. The limping visitor left your place with a canvas.
That's very impressive.
The fire was a clever attempt to hide a stolen painting, even if it didn't fool me. I found the remnants of an empty frame in the pile of ashes. The canvas had been removed. Do you know which paintings in the Wild Room may have interested a thief? Were any particularly expensive?
Those pieces belong to a well-known artist named Boniface Mercurio. They're controversial, but not of a notably high value.
The intruder entered the basement through the coal chute. He used a magnet to open the latch and dislodged the shovel while doing so. That's the noise you heard yesterday. When you went downstairs to investigate, he hid in the coffin.
It seems I should have checked the space more thoroughly.
This thief was familiar with the gallery and he was sporting a limp. Do any of your clients or artists come to mind?
My, your attention to detail is remarkable, Mr. Holmes. I should introduce you to Bosch's works. Alas, I'm afraid I cannot suggest a culprit.
There's something more, is there not? I can see it in your eyes.
Indeed. There is another intriguing angle. I recently received an anonymous offer for one of Mercurio's works. The sum was more than fair, and indeed could have saved Mercurio from his artistic poverty. But he declined it.
Was it a performative whim? Some artists lionize pain and hardship as if their work would be worse after a meal and a hot bath.
I cannot tell. But not only did he refuse the deal, he insisted on displaying the painting in the public space. I was hoping to change his mind, but artists are a special breed of stubborn.
What was depicted in the piece?
A bound woman, wrapped in robes, being penetrated by a red devil that stared at us, the viewer. The beast had numerous tails growing from his back, and a large crowd gathered around the pair, silently watching the orgiastic scene.
Okay, well, given the nature of the other works on display, it's hard to see why that one stood out. What could possibly be its value?
The evaluation of art is very subjective, Mr. Holmes. After all, art is everything. A poem, a bruise, the beads of sweat on your beloved skin. Even a masterfully solved crime.
I'm not sure I see the connection.
Regardless, the painting was one of a series called The Sabbath Night in Cordona. The works depict sex, violence, and other controversial acts that life, for better or worse, contains.
Ah, I see.
I'm not sure that you do, but that can wait for another time.
So where can I find Boniface Mercurio?
I know he lives somewhere in Old City, but couldn't be more specific. He's a prominent figure, so finding him shouldn't be a problem.
Well, I believe I have enough to begin. Thank you, Mr. Vogel. Your gallery certainly has unexpected depths.
I'm delighted to have been able to please a friend. In return, I expect you to come back with good news. Or at least with a good story.
Excuse me, young man. Where do you think you're going?
Greetings, Mum. I'm looking for the...
I don't care who you're looking for. You shall not pass. No visitors allowed.
I wish to buy a painting from Mr. Boniface Mercurio. Is he at...
Dearie, tell me, because old age has made me blind. Did someone write Information Bureau on my forehead? Because I'm not here to answer your questions. Entry is for residents only. If you aren't a resident, please leave, or I shall report you to the police. Boniface, sweetie. Is that you? Ah, old age does terrible things to one's sight. I didn't recognize you at first.
How are you, Mum? I'm ashamed to admit that I've lost my key. Do you have a spare?
For heaven's sake! How many times will you lose that key of yours? Of course I have a spare. You artists all live in your own little world.
Please, accept my thanks.
I would rather accept your rent. You promised to pay me several weeks ago, and I'm still waiting.
I will pay you, I promise, very soon.
You'd better do, my dear. Or else I'll just change the lock. And I won't fall for those cow eyes.
Mercurio was developing photographs when the intruder snuck in. Mercurio heard him coming. While the thief was searching the chest, the painter ran towards him with a bottle in his hand. He smashed it across the thief's head. The intruder had no choice but to defend himself, and the weapon of opportunity happened to be a kitchen knife. Mercurio stepped aside to grab the painting, but the wine-blinded thief attacked Mercurio's throat. When the thief came to his senses, he saw Mercurio bleeding on the floor. He grabbed the rags and tried to bandage him, but it was too late. Why did Mercurio attempt to snatch the painting in the middle of a fight? To strike the intruder? Not with his painting, it was too important to him.
Hang